Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy Lokanc-Diluzio. Welcome to Health Sciences 1010, Personal Health and Wellness. This is a 6-week summer course. I'm not sure if you've had experience taking summer courses in the past, but they are very intense because we are providing 12 weeks of content in a condensed time frame of 6 weeks. I know that some of you are working right now as well, so that puts added pressure on you, as well as some of you might have families or partners and a lot of other commitments. And on top of that, COVID is not very easy for us to deal with. But I'm hoping that this content for the course will be interesting for you and you'll find it motivating for you to do the work. This slide contains some general information about the course. We will have a TA for this course. However, at this time, unfortunately, I do not know who that TA or teaching assistant will be. The role of the teaching assistant will be to help me to mark and perhaps some questions that you might have if you send some emails along our way. Once I know who the TA is, I will post that information. Because this course is an online course, there are no class times. It is an asynchronous course, which means that you do not need to log on at a specific time. There are deadlines, but there isn't a synchronous component where everybody needs to be on at a specific day or a specific time. The modules will be completed or implemented from Monday to Sunday. Most of the time I will open the module on Monday mornings, and the expectation is that you complete the weekly module by Sunday prior to midnight. In terms of office hours, I live in Calgary, so I do not actually have an office. But if you do need to chat with me, you can email me for an appointment time. I'll be honest and say that typically students don't want to chat on the phone. Sometimes I offer that if it seems like somebody is struggling with something, but most of the time, students just want to email me their questions because questions seem to be pretty basic, and then I will email them back a response as soon as I'm able to. And typically response times are within 72 hours, usually within 24 hours, but sometimes within 72 hours. So I want to take the opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself. I completed my Bachelor's of Nursing degree at the University of Calgary back in 1997, and I completed my Master's of Nursing in 2005 and my PhD in 2014. I've taught various courses within the Faculty of Community Health Sciences at the University of Lethbridge. My research interests are sexual health, health promotion, public health, street-involved youth, youth with disabilities, adult education and learning. I currently work for Alberta Health Services as a sexual and reproductive health specialist, and I also teach at the University of Alberta in the Faculty of Rehabilitative Medicine, and I'm a co-investigator with the University of Calgary Faculty of Nursing. I've been assisting with the COVID response in Calgary on and off since last March. I was redeployed from my position a few times now, and I'm very happy to say that I am back at in my regular job right now. I've had the opportunity to work in 811 answering calls. I've spent some of my time swabbing people. I've also most recently been vaccinating. The most challenging role for me was screening people in urgent care, where I had literally people yelling at me or telling me off because I had asked them to wash their hands or asked them if I could take their temperatures. It was very humbling for me and very upsetting at times. I know that there's still tough times right now for many of us, and some of us may be struggling for different reasons. So if you are struggling, please feel free to reach out to myself as well as the TA. A little bit more about myself. I am fluent in Friends, The Office, and Seinfeld quotes. I like to make pop cultural references. I like to read pop culture and cooking blogs. I wear contact lenses and I can't live without my coffee, especially on minimal sleep right now. And I don't like taking selfies. I'm not on social media. And believe it or not, I've never had a Facebook account. In these next few slides, I'll be discussing a little bit about the course, as well as the evaluative activities. So in terms of an overview of the course content, focus, and approach, this course, it will expose you to health and wellness concepts, and it facilitates the opportunity for engagement in health and wellness activities. An inquiry-based approach to learning is used. Therefore, learning and teaching are considered to be a shared responsibility between you and me. The role of myself as the instructor is to facilitate, guide, and support learning, whereas your role is to use the resources provided and actively participate in the course activities. Some of the learning in this course is self-directed and will require your engaged commitment to learning and personal growth. And again, as mentioned already, each week starts on a Monday and it ends on a Sunday. In terms of the course learning objectives, by the end of the course, you'll be able to understand what's meant by the concepts of health and wellness, and you'll be familiar with the various dimensions of health. You'll be able to identify factors influencing personal health and wellness, reflect upon personal health and wellness and develop intentions for enhancement, identify health and wellness resources and services available in your community, whatever community that may be, whether it's Lethbridge or Calgary or somewhere in between. Develop personal skills related to the establishment of lifelong health and wellness behaviors. Consider the potential benefits of a variety of activities for health and wellness. And finally, enhance health literacy related to health and wellness through access and appraisal of information and resources. So moving on to the evaluative activities, there's participation and discussion board. There's 5 participation activities, each worth 1%. So 5% of your total grade. These participation activities are pass-fail, and most of them are just polls where you're going to be asked a question or asked a few questions, and it's really about you thinking and reflecting. And if you do the activity, you get 100%. If you don't do it, you get 0. There's also discussion board participation, which is worth 20% of your final grade. There's 4 graded posts throughout the semester. Each post is worth 5%. And so what I'm looking for is high quality posts that follow the guidelines that are provided for you. And each week there's going to be different guidelines, and it's really important that you read the guidelines carefully. For the discussion board this week, I've asked you to dive into thinking about your PWA or your personal wellness activity. So this is a very important discussion post because this week you're going to decide the activity that you want to do for the duration of the semester and that you're going to be writing your final paper about. There's around 100 people in the class, so I've divided you into small groups of 8 to 10 each on the discussion board. So you'll have, when you're answering your discussion board question, you have a smaller group. You're not responding to all 100 people in the class. It's very important that you are respectful on the discussion board. It's important to respect confidentiality. What's said in the class discussions should stay in the class discussions, and they shouldn't be spread with other people or spoken about to other people that aren't in the class. It's important to be respectful of others' ideas, beliefs, and perspectives. It's important to participate. As I mentioned before, engaging in the discussions is important for everybody. and everybody is responsible for their own learning. Boundaries are also important. Respect the boundaries of other people in your class and avoid sharing or encouraging the sharing of things that are not applicable to what the assignment is or what the task is at hand. It's important to share the stage and avoid monopolizing the discussions. Everyone has the right to participate and everyone has the right to be listened to. I'm sure we've all been in classes where, let's say it's a face-to-face class, where there's somebody that always seems to monopolize the discussions, because when an instructor or professor says that you have to participate, some people feel that they need to just talk the whole time. And I've been there where I've been part of the crowd where it's always the same person talking and everybody's rolling their eyes. The same thing can happen on a discussion board. So it's just important to respect others and let other people have the floor as well. It's important to be focused, keep the discussion postings within the scope of the course material, and try to avoid irrelevant tangents. And it's important not to take offense when there's no offense intended. But I think it's also important that if you feel that there's somebody that's consistently disrespectful on the discussion boards, that you bring it to my attention as well as the attention of the TA, because we're not monitoring the board every second of every day. We typically do the monitoring a little bit throughout the week, but more so when we're marking. So it's important that you let us know if there's any issues coming up. And I have had to, email students or talk to students that have been disrespectful. And so just so you know, if there is any problems, that, you will be getting an email from myself or the TA. There's also online quizzes, which are worth 30% of your final grade. Quizzes are based on the required textbook and other readings, but mostly the textbook, to be quite honest. You're required to write at least 6 quizzes throughout the semester. However, there's going to be 12 posted throughout the semester. Some weeks there's going to be 2 quizzes posted. There might be a week where there's 3 quizzes posted. This week there's only 1 quiz posted. But once again, you only need to write 6. Some people in previous classes have actually chose to write all the quizzes, and then their top 6 quiz marks were used to calculate their final grade. And some people actually ended up getting 100% for all their quizzes because the top quizzes were chosen to form the grade. If you write less than 6 quizzes, you're going to be getting zeros on the quizzes that you did not write. And it's important that you keep track of the number of quizzes that you've written. I know one semester I had a number of people, say, oh, I thought I had written, and for them it was 8 quizzes because it was 12 weeks. I thought I had written all my 8 quizzes and I see I've only written 6 of them. And so then they're in a tough spot because they ended up, getting zeros. So the one thing I do want to say is if you do miss a quiz early in the semester or early in the summer semester here, please don't ask me to reopen the quiz for you. You're going to have the opportunity to make up for the quiz that you missed later in the semester as more modules go up. But in my opinion, I would try to do as much as you can early on, because usually as the semester goes on, things seem to get heavier and it feels like things snowball. So try to stay on top of things from the beginning. There's also the personal wellness activity assignment, as well as the presentation related to the personal wellness activity. At the end of the semester, you're going to submit a paper offering an overview of your process of implementing the personal wellness activity. And included in that paper is a weekly log where you're recording what you did throughout the week to implement your personal wellness activity. It's important that you complete the weekly log starting at the end of this week or week 1, or at the beginning of next week, week 2. And I've had students in the last semester that I taught that did not complete the weekly log, and this significantly impacted their assignment grade, because it was really hard for me to determine if they actually did a personal wellness activity or they just made everything up. I will give more details about this assignment in a separate presentation, but also, just so you know, I've posted the guidelines along with 2 examples of stellar papers submitted the last time I taught this course, and hopefully that will provide some clarity for you. Although take note that those papers were based on a 12-week course, so those students were expected to do 10 weeks worth of logs, whereas I'm only expecting you to do 4 weeks worth of logs for this course this time around. So you will also have a presentation at the end of the semester. And when I say presentation, that just means either a PowerPoint or you can create a short video, and you're going to be explaining to your group members what you learned from the process of doing your personal wellness activity. So again, there's going to be more information and guidelines about the presentation. These next couple of slides are going to address email writing skills. Proper email skills can make or break a working relationship. Good email means getting what you want. When you send an email, please send it from your ULETH email account. Sometimes some students send it from their Gmail accounts or other accounts, and what ends up happening is it goes into the spam folder. So it's really important that you send it from your ULETH account. It's also important that you indicate a subject. So what is the course that your email pertains to? So in this case, it would be Health Sciences 1010, and you might have a subject that says question about PWA or whatever your subject is. Please, when you send an email, you can say, dear or hello, Wendy, or some people prefer to call me Dr. Lokanc-Diluzio as well. Please copy the TA on it. I don't have a preference as to how you address me in terms of calling me Wendy or Dr. Lokanc-Diluzio, but I will say it's important that you address me by some kind of name. I've had students say when they're emailing myself and the TA saying, hey guys, it's just not proper email etiquette to do that for many different reasons. So it's also important to use actual words and spell check as well, just to keep the communication professional. Please avoid text abbreviations. I'm not up to date with the abbreviations. Somebody once said something was NP, which I later found out that meant no problem. For me, I don't understand what these things mean. So it's just important that you write your words out so that you're communicating more effectively. The more clear your communication is, the quicker I can respond back to you. And, please sign your first and your last name. I appreciate that. Some people don't sign their names, and then they're also sending it from a Gmail where I have no idea who it is that's emailing. So it's just important that you just make your communication as clear as possible. I know I've said this before, but there's around 90 in this class so far. And then with the other class I'm teaching, I'm having about 120 students this semester. So it's just important to sign your name so I know who's emailing me and I know what it's about. I will always get back to you within 72 hours, especially if you're asking a question. I've had people send emails and they're not asking anything. So sometimes I don't actually respond to those because I think people are just giving me information and then I don't need to respond to it, because you wouldn't believe the volume of emails that I actually get. So I will respond to questions definitely within 72 hours. I typically respond within 24 to 48 hours. It just depends on the timing of the week and if it's a weekend or what else is going on and if I have access to email. Sometimes emails will get lost in the stream of messages that are sent. So if I may not answer right away. So it is a good idea to follow up within, if I haven't gotten back to you after 72 hours. And again, sometimes the emails actually go into the spam folder, and I don't always check my spam folder. So again, if you had a question and I haven't gotten back to you within 72 hours, you may want to send a follow-up email. So I would also suggest that you look regularly on Moodle for information. At least once a week, I typically send a general announcement, especially when I'm opening the weekly module. And so from my understanding, depending on your personal Moodle settings, the announcements should be also emailed to you in your University of Lethbridge account. So typically those announcements should be also emailed to you, but it really depends on your settings. In my settings, I have my announcements are always sent to me as well. So look in the announcements for information. That's important. And sometimes when you send an email to me, I might be short or to the point. And that's just to get information back to you as quick as possible. So I apologize if it comes across as quick, but sometimes that is the case, especially if I've got a lot of emails, if I've been inundated, or if I don't have a lot of time to respond. So just please be patient with that if it feels like it's a curt email. The required textbook for this course is called An Invitation to Health. It is a Canadian textbook, and I've provided a picture of what the cover looks like. It's your choice whether you want to use this edition of the textbook or an earlier edition. I did have somebody last semester ask if they could use the 4th edition instead, and I answered honestly to say it was their choice. However, I've not compared the information between the textbooks, and the quizzes are largely based on this edition of the textbook. So I do strongly encourage this edition of the textbook. The textbook is a very good book for the most part. Some of the feedback from the students last semester was that it was actually very, very helpful for them, and they learned a lot from the textbook. But I do want to make note that the textbook is outdated in certain spots in terms of, it doesn't necessarily use inclusive language, like now how we're moving towards inclusive language, and some of the health promotion messages are outdated. So I've tried to highlight that when I've noted that, to let you know what's a little bit outdated in the textbook assigned readings for each week. But again, overall, it's a fairly good textbook. Or actually, I think it's an excellent textbook. Just a few more things about the readings and activities. There will be required readings or activities which need to be completed. Some of those things will be completed for grades. Some of them are going to be completed just so that it assists you with the rest of the course. And then I've also posted additional readings or activities, and these are optional. So for some people last semester, they actually went through both the required readings as well as the additional readings or activities, especially if the subject matter related to their PWA or something that interested them in their lives in the moment. So it really is up to you. But as long as you're completing the required activities, that is what the minimum expectation is. If you're doing the additional, then that's great as well, but it's not required. So thank you everybody for listening to this presentation. I hope that it's helpful. And, once again, please feel free to email me if you have any questions. Thank you.